Hey guys, Comet here. I've got another video on my stopwatch. You may have seen my other one. It uses command blocks, and so it's not very survival friendly, but it is really good for what it does. Like if you just want a stopwatch that displays the tens place really quickly, then check that out. This one works exactly the same way, except it can't display that in real time, and there's some lag in carrying over because it's not as instantaneous as command blocks, as you can see right there. And there is some delay between start and stop because of just this distance it has to cover. But once you do hit stop, um, it will display that, and so it keeps accurate time between pressing start and stop, but it doesn't necessarily display it in real time. And then reset works the same way. It just has to do it all through redstone. And before you freak out with how much redstone is involved, it's really simple, and it's just like the other stopwatch I made. It uses the same exact counting system, and instead of using command blocks right here on the side to clone the number you want to display, it sends that signal up a glowstone stack and then gets encoded into a 7-segment display code. So for instance, this counter is at the 0 position right here because this is on, and so it'll turn this stack off, which allows these torches here to turn on, and each torch corresponds to a different segment on the 7-segment display, and they're all color coded. So when 0 is selected, this goes off, these come on, and then it'll display a 0. And then when it counts up 1, this will turn back on, and this will turn off, and then a 1 will be sent to the 7-segment display. And so these lines just wrap around the entire thing, and then they all kind of meet right here and go into the 7-segment display. Carrying over from digits, so once this goes through a full cycle, it'll come back to 0 and hit this pulse limiter, which will do exactly the same thing as the command blocks would do before in the other one, where it will depower this for 1 tick and then power it back on so that the number in the 0 position here can move up 1. And then this complicated stuff right here is just part of the reset. And it does everything in the exact same order as the other one, just has to do it with redstone. 7-segment displays are really easy to make. I'll probably just link a video to that if you don't already know what those are. And then encoding it, and it comes up this torch, this glowstone stack here. I do reverse the direction of this instead of in the other one, not this one, the other video of the stopwatch, the current would go in the other direction because I could actually have the command blocks over here that would carry over to over there, but it's easier to put it on this side because it's closer to it, because there's redstone involved. So it just goes in the opposite direction. So just mirror it, but it's exactly the same thing. I should also say that you could have the display as big as you want, but these things have to stay the same size. There's no way to, well, there probably is, but I'm not that good at compacting things. I'm better at just making them work. But if you do want more digits in your display, it would be better to make the display bigger so that you could have each number kind of the size of. These are 12 blocks long, each thing is, so your number would have to be similar to that size so that you can kind of make the display the same size as your counters. Otherwise, if you have a ton of counters coming down to this small display, it'll look weird. And you're going to have a lot of bussing to do. It's easier just to make them kind of the same size. So to start and stop it, it's exactly the same as the other video. It just turns this line on so that it can turn this torch off so that it will depower the locking repeaters, allowing the signal to go around in a circle. And the reason it actually doesn't display anything in the tens place is because a torch won't turn off if it's only being hit by a 1-tick pulse. And so once you stop it, this torch now has an infinite power source going into it, and so it can finally turn off. And then it'll affect these torches, which go into the display. So the reset is probably the hardest part, just like in the other one. This block right here is, I call it the propagate block, but there's probably a better name for it. It just allows the current to keep going in a circle and for this to keep counting. So once you remove it, it'll stop counting. But then it also deletes that pulse in here. And so that blue line puts it back. But this green line right here makes sure it puts it back in this 0 position. And so what it does is it keeps the red line, which is the unlock. So it keeps it unlocked so that the pulse can filter out. So it'll unlock it so that the pulse can go around in a circle. But it also removes this so that it can filter out. And then it goes ahead and puts that back and turns this off. So now it's locked again, and there's no more pulse in here somewhere hidden, but you do want a pulse in here. And so that's what this blue and green wire does. It will make this piston right here extend, which puts a block right there, which then keeps this repeater from locking this one so that it can insert a pulse here. So it can insert a pulse there, which then turns this on, and then this piston will retract. Everything's timed right from that point, but basically, let me cut that. That'll turn on. There. This will get cut so that it can actually turn on, and then it'll go ahead and lock it on, and then this will go off. So then there's a value in the 0 position. So the way I do that is just with this pulse extender here, and it's 1 tick, then full, 1 tick. And those both go into the orange and red at the same time. And then right here on this one, I go ahead and pull a signal off of that, and then 4 ticks, and that will go 1 tick into this piston, which cuts that wire right there, which isolates that and keeps it from locking this, even though it's being told to lock it because this is on. It just overrides it. And then it goes ahead and inserts the pulse back in, and then it will allow this to lock again, so it locks that on. And I have repeaters here in between each digit. So this is the reset pulse that comes along here. There's 6 ticks here, and that's just because this line will make this count up one more, because as the number's filtering out of this, it's gonna eventually come and hit this and tell that to count up one. And so then you just need this reset to happen after that counts up one. So that's what this delay is for. And then it gets to here, and it does exactly the same thing as that does. And then that'll filter out and cause this to count up one. But then because of the delay here, it'll go ahead and reset it like nothing happened, and it just keeps propagating down all the way until it gets to this last digit here, and it does the same thing. It only has 0 to 5, because that only needs to count 0 to 5. Full 10 there. And if I did have another minutes position, it would be over here, and I would be able to count. This would be another 1 to 6, or 0 to 5, same thing. It would be this smaller one over here, because there's only 60 minutes in an hour, and so you don't need all 10, because you're going to only be going up to 5. I don't really want to do a block by block thing. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I'm assuming you have some concept of how redstone works. And this actually looks like it's broken. Huh. There. No. Okay. Because after it resets, this should be off, but I was getting all of them off and then one on, which is bad. Don't know why that was happening. So again, it works exactly the same way. It just won't display that. And it's a little laggier because command blocks are a gift to redstoners. Stop it. And reset. And it's actually kind of cool how it's like a wave. It goes through the digits. This is probably a terrible tutorial. Alright, after much deliberation, I've decided on building one section just to show you how everything fits together, and I will also link a video to show you how a 7-segment display works in case you don't know how to do that. I think I already said that though. So start off like this, and then you're going to have 5 repeaters going this way, and in between each repeater you're going to have a block, and you can cut these out. Come over this way, and you're going to have 5 repeaters again. Like that. And then redstone into a block. The repeater will pull it from that block and then put it this way. And then right here, you're going to put repeaters facing into those repeaters. And same on this side. And then off of these blocks right here, you're going to put more blocks. And then you're going to put this right here across the top. And fill that in with redstone. And then cut the signal right there. And that goes into a block as well. But that's where the orange block will be. So you can cut that too. I'll do that later. So the next thing is getting the torches. Just put them on the sides right here. And then you're going to have redstone on top of the block it goes into. And if I go ahead and start that, you'll see that it is going around in a circle, but it's not affecting these torches because they're only receiving a 1-tick pulse. And I think I mentioned that earlier, but once you go ahead and stop it, then it'll go ahead and turn that off wherever it is. So then you're going to grab your glowstone, or half slabs, whatever you prefer. And start building up right here. And you only need to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And I color coded them. You don't have to. It just makes it easier because you can see kind of where everything's going. And pink right there. So then this is where you would go ahead and put your code for your 7-segment display. So to form a 0, you would need the top, bottom, and 2 sides. And so for me, that would be coded to pink, white, yellow, orange, magenta, and green. And the only one I wouldn't put is blue, because that would be that middle one, which would form an 8. So just put your torches there. Your lines may correspond to different places, so just make sure that when it is actually stopped on 0, that your torches are in the right spot. Or just color code your 7-segment display the same way I did. And I'll go ahead and show you where to put the torches. So white is on the bottom, orange is right here for this right one, and then yellow is right above that, and then pink is this top one, green is this top left, magenta is bottom left, and blue is the very center one. And so to make a 0 here, grab your torch. You're going to have one on white, orange, magenta, yellow, green, and pink. And that'll go ahead and form a 0, as long as all of your lines are going to the same place. And then I'll go ahead and finish these off camera, and then show you where to put the torches for those. So I've gone ahead and finished the rest of the towers off. And then I'll show you where to put your torches, as long as your colors correspond to where mine are. So the next one you're going to be making is a 1, and that would be orange and yellow. So just place a torch on the orange and yellow block. And then for number 2, you're going to place it on white, magenta, blue, yellow, and pink. So white, magenta, blue, yellow, pink. And for 3, you're going to place it on white, orange, blue, yellow, pink. So white, orange, blue, yellow, pink. And then for the 4, you're going to place it on orange, blue, yellow, green. Orange, blue, yellow, green. And then 5 is pink, green, blue, orange, white. So pink, green, blue, orange, white. And then 6 is just the same thing as 5. You're just adding on a magenta. And then 7 is just like that 1, except you're adding on the pink. And then 8 is really simple, you just have all of them. And then 9 is like the 1, and it has the pink, green, blue, yeah, that's it. And unless you want your 9 to have a like a little thing on the bottom, you can go ahead and put one there, or it'll just be a straight 9 if you leave it like that. And what I mean by that is if you leave it like that, that's how your 9 will look. But if you go ahead and put one right here, then that's how your 9 would look. So just whichever you prefer. So then that's how you program that. And the reset lines, those are a little tricky. First off, right here, this is going to be the orange line. Your piston right there. No, just kidding. Piston right there. And then your redstone right there. And then the piston with the green wool goes right here. this comes out a ways. And then your blue line is... Oh, there we go. Your blue line is right here. And don't remember if I put a repeater or not. Yeah, I do. Okay. So then, repeater right there. Out that way. And then your last thing is the red line, which is how you lock everything. You're gonna have a repeater into a block right here. And right here you're gonna have redstone dust. And right above that you're gonna have a torch. And then right here you're gonna have to come up one, or just put glowstone or a half slab. I just come up one because I have space to. And come out this way. And that's how you would make the first digit. But if you are making, you are going to have to make a second digit. And so the red part will look a little bit different on the second digit. You're going to have a pulse limiter, which just makes sure that this is just a one tick pulse that turns it off and turns it back on, so that this can only move one space. So, okay. So this is what you would do for your first digit, and then, well, this would be the tenths place, so to the right of the decimal, and then you would start counting in seconds over here, and so this is how that would look. Whoa. You're gonna have a torch right there into that. Have redstone here. Redstone there. That. Repeater on 3 ticks delay. And then this will go down to the previous bit. Not bit, I'm thinking computers now. Previous digit. And so this is where it would get that from. Yeah, so then it would come up right here. Have that there on 2 ticks, I believe. Yeah, 2 ticks. And it would come up like that. And then this is what would connect into this on the next digit. So that's how you would stack that. And then, so just remember that the very first digit, you don't need the pulse limiter. You can put it if you want. Yeah, you can put it if you want. So then this is what you'd stack. Yeah, so just stack that however many digits you want. Just remember to cut this in half when you are, no, don't cut it in half, just take off, dang it. Just take off this, that, and that, so that you only have 6 towers here when you're counting in the tens of seconds and tens of minutes. So then the reset, I'll show you how to do it for this, because the first bit, it's a little different. So first thing you're going to want is bring this out this way, I think. No, you're not going to do that. start with the orange first. Right here. You're gonna have a torch right there that goes into that. Redstone. Like that. And that's gonna come up until it's level with that right there. This right there. So, right there. And then you're gonna come out this way to your reset line. And then your red color. Actually, you could color these however you want. Just make sure you know which one I'm talking about. That goes off like that. No, it doesn't. It goes off. Is it 2? It is 2. Goes off like that. Into there. And then, whoops. Right here is where you're gonna have all of your repeaters. I think that's how many I put. So it's 1 full, 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 and then 1. Yeah, okay. And then your blue line is gonna come off of this. Right there. And come down. So right, this is a repeater on 4 ticks. How did I do that? Okay. Came over this way. 4 ticks into that. Down there. Don't do that. That's bad. Make sure you go up right there. And where did I put my repeater? Okay. No ticks, sorry. And then this will come down this way. Yeah, like that. Come down to there. And goes in there. So then just make sure you put a repeater right there and right there. And then this would be your reset line for the entire thing. So that's how you get it to reset. You just pulse this right here, and it'll reset the entire thing. This is where it would get the carry from the previous digit. So once that counts through its full 10, it'll hit this, which tells this one to count up 1. And then once this cycles through a full 10, it'll hit this right here, which will go into this line, which will go into this part on the next one, and it'll just keep carrying over like that. So just remember on the tens place, if you do have that, you don't need a pulse limiter. If you actually don't want a counter here entirely, you could just have a 10 tick thing that pulses this every 10 ticks, and then you could have just seconds counting. So like if you have seconds for your first digit, even though it's not, even though this is your first digit, it's seconds. So you are going to want this pulse limiter. The only time you don't need it is when you're counting tenths of seconds. And then just remember to have your that much delay in between resetting this digit and this digit. And then start and stop. I actually use an RS NOR latch over here. So what start will do is, dang it. It will set this on, and then stop will set it off. And so if you don't know how to build one of those, it's really simple. This part right here, make sure that this is actually facing into that block. So you can have it like that, or you can have it like that. You can't have it like that though. That won't work. And then right here I have a repeater powering this block, and that just comes straight from the off button, or stop. Comes down, powers that on, and then turn it on, you just power the top. And so this just kind of remembers the last state it was in. So do that, it'll stay on. Do that, it'll stay off, or whichever way you have it controlling it. You can put that right next to the buttons, or you could put it with your first digit, doesn't matter. And so these lines here just wrap around, and they go into your 7-segment display. I think that should cover everything. We can go ahead and test this out, I guess. So go ahead and put a pulse in there. You'll see we have a number here stored in 0. So I'll go ahead and put a 10 tick clock here. So now you should see it, you should start to see it moving around this now. There it is, there it is, there it is. And you'll notice that these torches on the stacks will change. And then those are what get the 7 segments to change to form the right number. And you'll see that this will pulse every time it gets to 0. That'll come on, which will tell the next digit to come on, or count up 1. And Um, Remember to take these 4 off right here if you are in the tens of minutes or tens of seconds. And just to show you that it will reset everything, go ahead and stop that. So where is it? Alright, so it's right here. So right now this display would be displaying a 1. And then you go ahead and reset that. And you'll see it's back to 0. Back to 0. So that should cover everything. There's probably a way to make this a lot smaller, but it works. I think I might have mentioned this already, but it's probably better to have a bigger display if you're going to have a lot more digits, because it's easier to make the number you're displaying the same size as the little digit counter thing. And I will provide a world download. So it's actually delayed in displaying the number. So it's not actually at 11 or 12 right now. It's a little bit ahead. Because if you go ahead and stop it, it'll keep counting. But it is accurate between starting and stopping. So it's been 18.6 seconds in between hitting start and stop. That's accurate. So whatever you're timing, just make sure that you hit start when it starts and stop when it stops, and it'll show you what it is. It won't necessarily display it in, it won't display it accurately until everything's done. Okay, I'm gonna go for real this time now.